Episode 163 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. You can support the show at patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. And our supporter of the week is the magnificent Mon Player. Thank you ever so much for supporting the show. Really do appreciate it. I always try to fill up this beginning with some rambly nonsense, hoping that it'll be funny, and it never works out. I always end up cutting it and going straight into the episode. So I don't know why this one's going to be different, but welcome to episode 163 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and joining with me today is Magpies and Heartless.
What's good, everybody? How's it going?
Hey, back together again.
Reunited. And you know what else is reunited? Us getting to talk about the rebalance changes, because they brought out yet another, for the third time, some equipment rebalance changes. Don't worry, it's not much. We're not going to spend like an hour talking about it, I don't think. You never know.
Prepare your ice barrages, Magpies.
Oh my God,
no.
I'm getting so sick. Do you guys go on the subreddit much?
Oh yeah.
I went on it for like 15 minutes yesterday, and then I remembered why I never want to go on it ever.
You when you got like a rebalance or something like this, you can't go on the subreddit for like a week or 2 weeks, because that's all you're gonna see is memes, and it's like,
Yeah, it's just memes these days.
no matter what side you sit on, if you agree with it or disagree, you just get sick and tired of hearing people talk about it.
There's an Iron Man Discord, I don't know if you've ever been on it, or Iron Man Reddit, and it's either just people getting extremely lucky or people being really dry. So neither of them are super fun to look at.
Yeah, I guess it's, hey, look at my extremely average drop chance or drop rate on this item. But anyways, what else we're going to be talking about is the Soul Wars. They added a whole new island. They expanded the island to it to make it more content. It's not much, but it's something. And then finally, Magpies, you got the inside scoop on some business stuff.
Well, it's not really inside scoop, but yeah, I've done my homework on the Jagex business stuff.
Fresh from the business factory with some information for us, eh?
Yep.
Cool stuff. All right, but before we get into all that, we like to dive into the weekly stuff. But guys, can I steal your thunder and can I snag the first updates?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Okay, they're small, so I figured we'll get these out of the way, but they're interesting. So first things first, I did some Theater of Blood sometime last week, and this is when I learned, well, Magpies and Heartless, if you know as well, you guys always do your rating on the high risk world.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why? Why do you do this?
The servers have been really bad since Christmas.
Yeah.
And the high risk world is one of the only servers without server lag.
Why is that? Do you know?
No clue.
Not
I assume
sure,
it's because it's a newer
honestly.
world, I guess.
Okay.
Less rust on the server. Less cobwebs.
Yeah.
I never really understood why high-risk worlds were there in the first place, because what the high-risk world is when you die, you lose all your items, you can't protect item, you can't use the protect item prayer. So it always seemed kind of weird, like it's not that big of a deal if you die and you lose all your items.
It's only in the wilderness where you lose all your items.
It's the wilderness, right? But the new thing where, I'm sure you're going to talk about this, Dills, but the insta-sculling is a little strange.
So this is what I learned. Yeah, the high risk world, it's great for everything, but not great when you're trying to do your wilderness clues. So I forgot I was in a high risk world, so I went to the wildy, and I always bring my blowpipe and whenever I'm doing my wildy tasks and clue scrolls, and I brought a fury and some other stuff. So I go into the wilderness, I pull the lever, I'm in like 52 wildy or whatever, and then I have this cool little skull. It's like blue with spikes on it, and I was like, oh wow, that's neat. Maybe you get that if you go to the wilderness right after you do Theater of Blood, because you know how when you do the fight pits, you get the red skull.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe it's the Theater of Blood version. What a cool little Easter egg. And then I quickly found out there's people were waiting there for me, and they hunted me down, and I panicked and I ran, and it was intense. Oh my god! Even though I didn't
the wildy lever from Edgeville.
Yeah. So it brings you to the same like arty lever. And oh man, it was like panic moment, like me being attacked, and I was like, oh my god. Went to go protect item and saw that you're not even able to use it. And then I was like, oh no, I'm on a high risk world. I'm gonna lose my blowpipe. I think I just put like 5k scales in it and like 5k addy darts. It's really loading up. And then I lost a fury too because I ended up getting PK'd. But god damn, that was the rush from that. I think was more than the Tebow drop.
Damn.
I got the week before.
That's scary. I'm sure you're not the first person to lose something that way.
No, it was.
I don't know how you guys feel about that insta sculling thing, but
yeah, I feel
I'm
like Dills is like an adrenaline seeker because all he talks about is like the thrill that he gets. Like that's how he judges his experience in RuneScape. It's like, yeah, when I got the blade, I didn't feel a thrill. When I got the Tebow, I felt like a medium thrill, and now just like he's just gonna be like a week from now, he's gonna tell us, oh man, I tried like jumping off a cliff, like the deep sea diving where you jump off. Like some random like rocky cliff right into the shores or something.
Or even worse, doing that, but while on mobile, high risk world, clue scroll stuff in the wilderness, right? Add them two together. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Were you on mobile when you did it?
No, I was on my computer. I don't play a whole lot of mobile, but it's a learning experience. Always make sure if you're playing a high risk world, remember that you're on the high risk world before you go into the wilderness. But it was a crazy adrenaline rush. Now, keeping in themed with the wilderness and adrenaline rush, the other day, so I'm on this Tebow rebuild, but I haven't been using the Tebow a whole lot because during the week, when I'm done work, I usually park myself at Venenatus because the safe spot is like semi AFK. It's great if I'm editing the podcast or if I'm like doing something on the side, but I can still stop to still pay attention to what I'm doing on RuneScape. And I kind of want the Venenatus pet because it's kind of cool. And it's a little bit of a flex to have a wildy pet.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's also decent money, too. So I've been doing a lot of that, which really started with the bingo we did, Heartless, that you had set up back in December. And so I spent my whole week there, basically. And it was Thursday night, I think it was. No, it wasn't Thursday. Anyways, it was like Thursday or maybe Friday night, maybe Wednesday night. I noticed a ton of PKers and they kept coming after me. And I was like, oh, that's so strange. But eventually it kind of slowed down. But I saw this crazy thing. I've never seen this happen before. And it actually spooked me out hardcore. There was, the ghost NPCs?
Oh, from the Shadow Sword mini quest?
No, just
ghosts.
Oh,
yeah, you can kill them. I don't know if you guys know, but they roam around the wilderness, but you can't select. They're not like you don't see them on the minimap, and you can't select them to even examine them.
I didn't know about this.
Well, maybe it's just near Venenatus. I'm not too sure, but I was like,
there's a graveyard just west of Venenatus with a bunch of skeletons.
Maybe it's
could be from there.
Yeah, it could be, but I've never seen it's an NPC that you can't click on. You can't do anything, but you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it moving around on your screen. And it was so strange. And I freaked out for a second because I never even knew this was a thing. And people in the CC started telling me, like, yeah, they do. This isn't strange. But I literally thought, which I don't know if this says something about the Jagex support system, but I was like, that might be a JMod. And maybe this is how they find gold farmers at Venenatus. They just they play an NPC and they roam around. And then they have to manually ban. It's very inefficient. But
yeah.
I wouldn't put it past the their support system they have set up. But it was crazy. Yeah, I honestly thought it was a JMod trolling around the wilderness. So it was very. Anyways, if you see them, don't be alarmed. I actually freaked out for a second. I was gonna jump on Discord and share my screen and be like, everyone, check out what's going on here.
Wait, are you bringing your Tebow into Venenatus?
No, I use the crossbow.
Okay, good. Because I was gonna say. I would be like secondhand fear.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. No, not that. So that's really what I wanted to get into in the first thing. So honestly, not much has happened this week. Just that. The other night I was going through all my RuneScape accounts, but I was doing it on RuneScape 3 to see how much items I could sell. Fun fact: fire runes sell for like 150 GP in RuneScape 3.
Yeah, I don't get the RS3 economy ever since Invention came out, and it was supposed to be this massive way to deal with a lot of useless items, and it would be like an item sink there. You could like decompose items for like their energy or whatever, or chakra. I don't know what they've got, but
Yeah, I have no idea.
yeah, ever since then, like the economy's really weirded me out.
If your account, if you've played it back in like 2005, it's so worth going on the RuneScape 3 worlds just to see what your bank's like. Because when I first did it on my account now, this used to be my pure back in the day. And I had a ton of composite bows, which you get from like clue scrolls, and they sell for like 1 mil each. Like they're worth a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm trying you can buy a bond for 26 mil. That's a lot. But you know, I'm sitting at 23 mil right now, so it's like, oh, I'm almost there on RuneScape 3.
Couple dailies and you'll be there with all those treasure hunter keys or whatever.
Oh my god, there's so many. And your account's been collecting them. I'll tell you that right now. I had 30 keys to go through. So I got like leveled up my archaeology. Anywho, that's my week right there. I want to get that out because nothing big happened, but at the same time, Ghosts in the Wilderness, super spooky. That's pretty a big deal. But Magpies, how's your week been?
Not as spooky, pretty low key as well. So I was supposed to keep working on this fishing grind. I kind of was like too busy to really. I don't like playing old school if I'm like doing other things. Like if I'm doing, you know, anything work related, I don't want to put it on and like distract myself. So I don't like AFK skills. It's
like kind of like opening up Pandora's box, because once you start, it's like so hard to not do it.
Yeah. So instead, like when I've been online, I've just been tutorial skipping a lot for Inferno and Thermi tasks. I've started my Thermi grind as the next pet I'm actively going for, and then in the meanwhile, if I get, you know, a Tazar task, I'm like sending a suck trip every time. So yeah, I don't think we've talked about doing Thermi. It's a pretty chill boss, super high Slayer requirement, but it's not as hard as like its Slayer level would have you think it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically the way you do Thermi is you go inside the smoky cavern, there's a bunch of smoke devils, and then there's a little runoff room where the thermonuclear smoke devil is, and then there's a couple different ways of killing him, but generally the most common way is like you bring in a whip, you bring in like a ring of suffering with a bunch of recoil charges, and then it's funny because it's like Jagex wanted to add a boss that showed you what it was like to have a blowpipe use it against you. So he's got like this 2-tick attack that just hits you nonstop. You can't pray against it and stuff. So the idea is you just whip him and you use redemption prayers, and the moment your redemption triggers, because his max hit is like an 8, so you'll never be killed. So the moment your redemption triggers, you drink a prayer potion, then you turn your redemption prayers back up. So there's that way of doing it.
It sounds tedious, but it's not that bad. You have quite a lot of timing.
Yeah, it's pretty chill.
Because redemption brings you back to like 30 health, so you do have quite a while to get your next prayer back up.
Yeah, I've been doing it with a harmonized orb instead of melee. Normally you can do it with like a scythe or a whip, and you could also do it with a harmonized orb because I want more excuses to use that item. It's crashed like 300 mil since I got it, so might as well make use of it. But it's pretty fun. I haven't gotten the pet yet, obviously, but I'm like, I think I did like 3 tasks, got like another 500 KC this week, so it's pretty chill. You get like 100 kills an hour, so it's not anything crazy. And then I did like 2 Inferno tasks as well over the past 2 days. And I got a new PB. I smashed my old personal best, and now my personal best is like 77 minutes. I'm trying to go for eventually like, maybe I'll go for like sub 60 one day, but for now I just want like a PB of under 75 minutes. That would be pretty nice. That's pretty much it for my week though. Just a lot of Thermi and some Inferno.
When you do Thermi, do you teleport to your house? Because that's what I do. I teleport to my house because there's a fairy ring that's not too far away. Teleport to your house, you get back your health, you get back your prayer, you get back your energy, your special energy. And then I would run back, and then I would just like declaws or crystal halberd.
Less supplies, less kills per hour.
Yeah.
That way. But it's fine.
Fair.
if you're struggling for money or supplies.
I just camp it, to be honest. Like I'll bring in 16 prayer potions, and I'll normally stay there for like 80, 90 kills. So it's pretty chill. I'm the kind of guy who I normally prefer staying at a boss for a really long time over like teleporting back and forth, just because while I'm doing the boss, I don't mind doing it, but the moment I teleport away and like go to a bank or something, I lose motivation to go back. So the
Fair.
longer the
Yeah,
trip,
okay.
the less likely I am to stop midway through and get bored.
It can get tedious for sure.
Yeah.
I did all 2,300 of my Zulrah KC one at a time, going back to the house and banking every time.
True.
Ouch.
I guess that's the thing with an Iron Man. You have a different way of looking at it because, like, for me, it's probably more efficient to just, use as many supplies but get as many kills per hour. But for
True.
you have to spend that time making it, right?
But even when I went really dry on my occult, I ended up getting it from the babies, but I did about 100 thermi,
Mm-hmm.
and you did the same method as Magpies,
Okay,
but
yeah.
with a whip instead of a harm.
Yeah.
Well, at least you got your options, right? Yeah.
It was worth it, right? Because I'd rather get like double the KC per hour and then spend 20 minutes at Master Farmers to get a few extra NRCs.
Yep.
True. Yeah, that's
For
fair.
me, that's try to look at it that way
Yeah.
rather than doing a really slow method.
Yeah, okay. that makes
Especially
sense.
the only reason I did Zulrah that way is because I was really out of prayer potions and I did not want to get my thieving up because it was really low at the time. So
Okay.
For sure.
it ended up being worth it for me to not do that. And then I saved a lot of food as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Other than that,
Nice.
haven't done much. I'm still super dry on chambers. Super, like I'm almost at 100 KC without seeing anything at all, like by anybody. So that's
sucks.
been pretty depressing.
Yeah, it's no good.
It's the way Chambers goes sometimes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
How about you, Heartless? How's your week?
It's been good. So yeah, I was grinding, as you know, just bandos nonstop. I think I did 200 KC this week. So Friday night, I got my second pair of tassets at 520-ish KC.
Okay.
So that was almost 500 KC between two items, which was not great. I got 3 pairs of boots in there.
Nice.
Ouch.
I'm not really counting those, so I had to wait 500 kills to get my second item, really.
And that was the
So-
tassets.
And that was the tassets. So now I had 2 pairs of tassets. Then last night, Raichu and I stayed up real late, as we usually do because we're West Coasters. And I got the BCP on like 608 KC.
Oh, and was that the last item you need?
Yeah. So now I have full bandos, which is pretty insane. It feels really good. Starting to feel like a real late game account at this
Do
point.
you have
That's cool.
a Bandos hilt if you want to make a BGS?
I don't. I do not. So that's been my dilemma today. I don't have a BGS, which is basically the BGS is very useful, but the most important thing that unlocks is core.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
right.
the more I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I'm actually mentally ready to do Corp yet. So, and since I did kind of 600 Bandos KC in like 3 weeks, I think I'm going to stop for a little while and do some skilling, try to get more Tobs in. And I'm thinking about going back to Sarah and getting the SGS because it's an item I really want. It's one of my favorite items in the game. It's probably overall less useful than the Bandos hilt, but it's a lot more chill.
Yeah.
And I really like the Sarah pet as well. So I think I'm just going to go do that. It's just a little change of scenery. But basically, I've been for 8 weeks running around in circles at God Wars Dungeon,
Nice.
which has been pretty wild.
You mentioned that you don't think you had the mental, what was the word you used? What was the phrasing for Corp? The mental fortitude?
I'm not mentally ready, is what I said.
What do you mean by that?
So it's 3 kills per hour.
Okay,
And
yeah.
the uniques are 1 in 1,400 for the 2 base spirit shields, I think, roughly, and then 1 in 4,600 for the Ellie. On top of which, those items aren't particularly good. Like, for the amount of time that you put into getting them.
Sure.
They're actually not. They're huge flex items, but as Magpie says, the Ellie is the most expensive fashionscape item in the game.
Yeah.
So, like, while I would like to have a spirit shield, which it would be really cool, there are many more things I could be doing with my time right now.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about, and if I had a Bandos hilt right now, I would want to be sending Corp, at least to try it. So I think I'm just going to hold off. If I get the Master Glue step, I'll go back. I'll get an SGS and then head back to Slayer for a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you changed your tune on Corp, and I'm kind of glad because I remember you were mentioning it once, and I'm not the kind of guy to discourage people from doing what they want in the game, but you were like, you know what, Corp doesn't sound too bad, and I'm like, really? You really don't think calculating exactly how much you hit on a BGS and like writing it down every time is going to be fun?
I'll agree with you. Like, it's not. I don't mind the actual kills themselves. It's a very chill boss. Like it doesn't. You just do the same thing, and you can just sit back and relax. But it's slow, and the items aren't particularly good. So it's something I want to do eventually on my account, and get a few hundred kills. But it's not. I don't need to do it right now. There are other things I could do. So I think I'm gonna go get the SGS.
That's
and
fair.
Then, move on from there.
Yeah.
So
And-
who knows how long that's gonna take.
And if I remember correctly, you enjoy the Sarah boss.
I like both of them. They really don't bother me that much.
Have you ever killed Sarah with your sounds on?
Yeah,
The
terrifying.
way. So I actually did a few. I tried Sarah with the Tebow because I remember you mentioned that it's you like the boss and it's good for the Tebow.
Yeah.
Most people don't like the boss though, so I wouldn't say what I like is what most people like.
I can understand why. I can see why you like it. And I can also understand why someone else doesn't like it because you can spend a lot of time there. So it's always nice not having to get like 5 kills and then teleport out like with maybe bandos or something. But then also it is a lot of running around and but the one thing that I noticed, I would play with the sound effects on, and when she dies, she does like a high little shriek, like it's like a very high pitched sound, and it sounds like my fire alarm. And every time she would die, my heart would drop for a second because I think the fire alarms are all going off and they're so loud.
Oh my god, it's not as bad as Kriara's though.
I don't remember what she sounds like, but with the Armadillo crossbow, when you use the spec, it's like one of the worst sounds of the game.
Yeah, that's Kriara's death sound. It's
Nice.
the Armadillo crossbow spec.
Oh my god!
So you get that every time you kill it, which is not great.
I should figure out who was the sound designer on these and ask them.
So like someone's child just screamed in the background when they were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
They're just like, that's it.
And they
That's the
kept
sound.
it.
It's
Sometimes when we're at theater, when I first got my ACB, I brought it to Theater of Blood and dropped a spec during P3 to try and scare some of the guys.
Oh my
But
god!
it didn't work. Magpies just said thanks for the MVP because I didn't have my spec anymore. It was pretty funny.
it sounds like something I would say. I don't remember that, but
It was good. So yeah, I'm stoked to have some like Sarah. I'll go back there, get the SGS, and then we'll take it from there.
Nice.
There's lots to do. I did get some Theater of Bloods in this week. Got my very first MVP.
So what does the MVP do?
So basically, it means that so in each room, there's a base amount of points that you get for the raid, and for going in all the rooms, and then an MVP. There's like points up for grabs for the people who deal the most damage in specific rooms. And then if you die, you lose points. So it doesn't. You could have more MVP room points, but then if you die, you will lose out to someone.
And you get points for like is it for like just putting out DPS?
yeah.
Yeah. So the person who gets the most DPS in like Maiden, I think it's 2 points. Magpies. I don't have the chart with me. 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, it's
But for just completing the room, you get 4 points, I believe.
no, you get 3 points for participating in each encounter, which is the official word they use. But yeah, you get 3 points and then 2 points for being the person who deals the most damage in Maiden. I think 1 point for doing the most at Blow, 1 point for Nilokus, and then another 2 points for Sodaseg Zarpus, and then 2 more points for every phase of Verzik that you do the most damage in. So it's like an invisible point system, and it like affects the chance of getting a unique. So when you're the MVP, you're more likely to get the purple in your name if there's a purple.
Exactly. So we did a 3-man. They both died once at Bloat, so that's why I ended up getting the MVP. Because usually, if you have a whip, you're not going to compete against people with scythes plus infernal capes. So it was fun to get that.
Not bad, not bad.
And that's my week. So
That's your
Been
week
fun.
right there. Awesome. Well, it's been things have been happening, I suppose. Shall we hop
Sure
into
have.
the news and see what's going on in the RuneScape world this week?
Yep.
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we got 2 dev blogs to talk about. The first one is the Isle of Souls. So this is like I don't even know how you want to explain it. They place Soul Wars on an island that you can now explore outside of the minigame. It looks like it fits more. It's not just this random, minigame that's taken place in some abyss somewhere on the map. it's like mid-level content. I'm not quite sure. So on this island, there's like a bunch of random trees, maple yews. We talked about this before, but then there's also some places to mine clay, copper, tin, iron, silver, gold, coal, and mithril. You can fish, lobsters. You can harpoon, swordfish, all that fun stuff. There's some like low-level and mid-level hunting spots. There's flax. It's got a random assortment of stuff, and I don't know if they might have talked about this on one of their weekly streams, but it seems very random to me. I mean, I think it looks cool, and I think it's great. It kind of fits. It's just like another place for like a new player to explore. Just reading some type of content that's on there, it does seem just very
filler.
Yeah, filler. Like the monsters, there's moss giants, sand crabs. Sand crabs might be used, but there's like pyre fiends, which are again low-level Slayer monsters. Yeah, so I can't imagine who would be coming here versus somewhere else unless Konar gives it as a task.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
it's not significant really at all.
They have a dungeon, and in there again, lesser demons, greater demons, fire giants, baby blue dragons, regular blue dragons, and iron dragons. So nothing crazy as well. There's some areas you can mine runite as well, and there's a chest in this dungeon that you can pick lock at level 28, and it gives random loot. I did a little bit on mobile the other night, and the loot's not great. It's again for like very low levels. The thieving experience, I don't recall it being that great either. But again, maybe for level 28 that's different.
Yeah.
You are able to get a dark key from this chest, which you can then go to a crumbling tower where it has a bunch of there's like ghost NPCs that you can actually kill. Not the JMod ghosts. And I guess this is more fitting because with the Ectoplasmator, which is a reward from Soul Wars, which allows you to kill ghosts and you receive prayer experience for that. Now you can come to this new tower if you wanted to grind out some of those. But with that dark key that you got from that one chest, you can bring it to the crumbling tower where in the basement there's another chest.
It's Chestception. Heard you like chests,
yeah.
So we put a key in your chest so you can open this chest.
There's so many chests.
Exactly, but this one, a little bit better. It's like 10 times better experience. 1.5k thieving experience. And the drop table is also nice, so you can get stuff that's upwards to 100k loot, 100k valued loot, which isn't, again, it's not great, but for a lower level, this might be kind of nice. But when I was doing it, I maybe did like 50 chests, maybe more, and I didn't get any keys. So I don't know what the drop chance is on the dark keys.
Mm-hmm.
Either I got unlucky or they're not that great. So
yeah, it seems like a really filler update, as Heartless said. Like, and I don't like how everything is keys now. It's like where we're adding loot tables or loot boxes into old school by the second, where we have like Laren's key in the wilderness, and we have Brimstone key with Konar. We have the dark key now.
Then there's the grubby key, and then to be honest, they all suck. So I'd rather just have the item drops.
There's the muddy key, the crystal key.
There's this awkward. There's the awkward thing. Sorry, I was just gonna my thoughts on keys.
Yeah,
I think the reason they do it is to bring basically raw GP instead of you just getting random drops that look. It makes it less awkward, right? So Laren's keys, all keys are just like filler to me. It's like, oh, we don't know what to do with this mob. We need to give them like Wildy Slayer people need an incentive to do it. Oh, well, here's a Laren's key, and it accesses you to a drop table that's basically just alkables and stable priced items like seeds.
Yeah.
So it feels super filler, and this update feels like they're trying to bring life to the island rather than just being like a lifeless mini game island. Like a blob in the middle of nowhere. That's
like, I think that's great. If you want to just create this dungeon that really isn't going to serve a purpose, I think that's kind of cool, and it kind of brings it back to like the essence of like what RuneScape was kind of built upon, where it was very, before like a wiki existed, you'd want to explore everything. You'd be like, where does this go? What there's so many chests in this game. When you go into somebody's house, not player-owned house, but an actual NPC's house, and you go upstairs, there's like a chest in every house. And one thing that kind of was kind of like, I guess not, I want to say it was sad, but I wasn't sad when this happened. But
Yeah.
when you open the chests, they're all empty and there's no chance of getting anything from it. And I always thought that like, that's kind of lame. It'd be sweet to like open it up and then maybe get like, I don't know, even if it's just like a chance to get like leather boot, like very basic items, leather boots, leather gloves, maybe an apron, maybe like a leather body, maybe something iron. I don't know, but I wonder. I like that they do stuff like that where you can stumble across and you're like, what does this do? And it actually, there's something cool there, even if it's not
Better
great.
than nothing being there, I think, for sure.
I would disagree. Like, I would rather have a really nicely designed, like, but closed off area where there's no content. It's just a really good looking place in the game to just walk around instead of like a bunch of filler stuff. It's not like the Hesidious dungeon was really cool because there was lore to it and there was like a lot of stuff to explore. And like Dill said, you had that kind of wonder and amazement at the lore and the new monsters that were there. You had weird like sun priests or whatever. Here it's just like
actual boss too.
Yeah, you just have like iron dragons. We've seen them a billion times. They don't look different. They don't act different. They're literally iron dragons. We've got some greater demons. We've seen greater demons before. Like, I would rather have a place where it's like, oh, this place looks really cool to walk around. I just want to bring Fashionscape and walk around, take photos. Maybe if we have like a clan meetup, we should do it over here next time. Like, I would rather
clan
that.
meetups.
Yeah, like I would
miss
rather
those
have
days.
a really cool
Like
aesthetic.
if it was just the waiting lobby and you couldn't walk out onto the island and it was just Isle of Souls and it was basically only for Soul Wars. Kind of like Pest Control feels like that a little bit. Like it's just an island for the content.
I would rather
There's a bank and that's
that
it.
than have like filler content. Either make it so that you don't make it so that you have it and don't build an empty space and then find an excuse to fill it. Give a reason to create a space in the first place. You know what I mean? Like it seems like bad game design.
Yeah, you're right.
To just like let's add a bunch of empty space here and then we'll have to think of a way to put stuff in it later.
I just feel like that's what they're doing rather than doing the opposite. Yeah, they're making a space that's too big and then being like, oh, let's put some teaks there and whatever. Try to make it, but it's never going to be relevant content unless it's designed specifically for a reason. I agree with you on that.
I'll
part.
give you guys a good example. If you go past the farming guild, like an example of something that's actually really cool without filler content. If you go past the farming guild west, there's a cliff where the Chambers of Zarek area is. There's like a waterfall that you can't go down from the Chambers area. You have to go through the farming guild, go west. You'll find the waterfall that leads on from the Chambers, and then you'll find a random shaman sitting there praying around a bonfire. And you'll find a bunch of weird ass stuff, and it looks really nice. And it's a great place for like a hide and seek like location.
And there's also a clue step there.
Yeah.
That's another thing these spaces tend to do. They come along with clue steps. So
Yeah.
that shaman one is a hard clue step. And I feel like they should add a hard clue step to the Isle of Souls or something. Like may as well to give people a reason to explore it.
Yeah.
If you're going to have these nice spaces.
I do love like when you stumble across these things, even if they don't necessarily like, yeah, filling up this dungeon with iron dragons, blue dragons, it's kind of like, But I do like this chest that you can pick lock. I love the idea that there's going to be some player who's new to the game, exploring it on mobile maybe, and then he comes across this chest and he goes to open it, and either they can open it or they can't. And if they can't, they're going to be like, I got to make a note to come back here because I want to know what's in there. I mean, they're probably just going to wiki, but
Yeah.
pretend that they can't. Or they can open it and then they get a bunch of gems and they're like, oh, wow, okay, that's cool. Because going back to like how when you go to an NPC's house and you open up a chest, when I was doing that on like an Iron Man account, because I was just exploring and I was like, I refused to look at the wiki for anything.
Yeah.
As soon as I found out that all these chests that are scattered across all these different houses and in these people's basements, that there's no point in opening them because you're not going to get anything from them, was kind of like depressing. And I was like, oh, well then what's the point? Like you could fill it up with junk and that would get me excited. Oh, if you just get silk from it sometimes or ashes, you'd still be like, oh, that's interesting. I wondered what was in here and now I answered my question. But then knowing that you can look into it and there's nothing in there, it's kind of, yeah, I mean, I do agree that there's a lot of keys for chests, although I don't know how I feel about it because as much as it's probably annoying to have to keep track of what all these different keys do, I do like the few times that I've stumbled across, for instance, I think it's the muddy chest in the wilderness. And being completely confused on what's in there. How do you act? You know what I mean? The loot's crap. The loot
I know what
sucks.
you mean.
But it's
The loot sucks. It's the same every time. It's like 5k worth of loot.
yeah, but it's that instant to be like, wow, I gotta wiki something that I don't know. It's kind of fun. Yeah, so that's it for the Soul Wars. Anything you guys wanted to mention before we move on to our favorite segment?
No, not really. I just realized like we've been negative Nancy's for the last maybe you guys' episode last week was a little bit more positive. We've been negative Nancy's for the last couple episodes, but
No, we were not positive. And I feel like this update, it's better than it was. So I'm happy with it. We disagree with the philosophy. I think we agree on that, but it's better than it was.
I've spent years railing for them to like revitalize dead content, so I am not complaining.
Yeah, and at first, if I was asking like, what's the point, right? This seems very random, but then in the same breath, I have the feeling of like sometimes it's cool to have these dungeons that don't have a point, which is why RuneScape's kind of cool. There's so many places you can stumble across that like it's just a dungeon. Not every dungeon needs to have a point, right?
When you have a dungeon like that, you need to at least give it some kind of lore or some kind of intrigue. Though that's where I'll push back a little bit. If it's just a blank slate dungeon, which is like a template cookie cutter kind of.
Histidious one is the perfect example. We just mentioned that too, right?
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Tie a little like a cheeky mini quest in there. Give people a reason to go there, and then why not? That's great.
Same time, it is kind of cool to stumble across a cave that's like, maybe it's better to think of it as just a cave with dragons in it.
You're not going to win us over, Dills. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not a dungeon, it's a cave.
Pull out the ice barrages, Magpies.
wait, let's hold it, because we got the equipment rebalancing update, part 3 to go into.
All right, I'll get my AGS ready.
Okay, let's do it. No, we're not going to go into it as deep because it's like so much back and forth, right? I've been watching the weekly dev streams they do on Twitch, and it's every Thursday now. They'll do an hour, and it's all just spent answering the same questions about the rebalancing. And at this point, I'm just getting so tired of it. And maybe this is Jagex's plan. It's working, but I don't know how do you guys feel about this? Like, I just feel like I don't know. I'm over it. I'm getting waterboarded.
Yeah, they just I don't know. If they do nerf the blowpipe, which they still look like they will, I think they should just make it a bit minor, but still significant enough to where the blowpipe isn't completely busted. As it stands now, there's so much content that's going to be affected, and it's going to be like newer players and poorer players who are going to be affected more than anybody. But just like you can rehash all my arguments from the last time we talked about it. Really, there's nothing new that's changed in terms of the substance. It's just the minutiae that they want to change.
I want them to bring out these changes sooner than later, and I think they said, is it this month they want to do the changes?
It's going to be probably in the next 2 weeks, is my guess. It's as soon as possible, is what Kieran said.
Yeah, so I want them to just go ahead and do it, because people are going to continue bitching about it for the next week or two. Let's get all of our systems until we can just accept whatever changes have happened. Because they've already gone back on the Nate is not helmet. I don't know, Magpie, I'm not sure how you feel about that, but that nerf got lifted, right? It's not getting changed now.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
No, it's not. They went back on it. So, yeah, anyways, well, let's quickly go through. So they mentioned how with the nerf to the blowpipe, it's going to cause a huge gap between the blowpipe and the T-bow. People are saying, well, they just want to introduce stuff in between it. They probably do, but they have no plans right now. They don't care that there's going to be a huge gap. It is what it is. They're basically saying, just deal with it. It's going to be a gap.
That's massive corporate speak. That is huge corporate lingo for anytime someone says we have no plans at this time, that's like skirting the question, in my opinion.
They totally have plans, or else they wouldn't be doing this update.
They probably don't have plans, but they're like, we're gonna have plans at some point. We just don't have them right now.
Surely they have ideas for what's coming in the future. I don't think this nerf is just like they're just doing it now because now is when they feel the blowpipe needs to be nerfed. It's like they could have done that anytime in the last 6 years. There's must be a reason they're doing it now.
It's like, okay, maybe they're being completely honest and they don't have any plans, but just wait until they sit at the drawing board and they're like, okay, we need to develop a new piece of content in the game, some fresh new end game content. What rewards? And they're going to default to some kind of range strength boosting armor or some kind of really strong range offhand, which would have been fine. Honestly, why did they not just add a range offhand that would like
Didn't even affect the blowpipe
crossbows?
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Or the T-bow.
Do you guys remember when they wanted to bring out blessings, and originally blessings were going to have these different perks tied to it, where it would increase your range. I think there was like a chance to shoot twice was one of them. One of the blessings made it so any monster that was around you would automatically be aggressive to you.
That's cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I like that idea.
They had all of these, and I can't remember if they either passed and then Jagex was like trying to work them in. They're like, yo, this is going to destroy the game. So they just made the blessings give prayer bonuses, but I forget why I brought that up. Oh, they have ideas for all these things and then they don't show up. But yeah, so more rebalance stuff. The Bulwark, everyone's new favorite weapon to talk about. It's getting a buff to the nerf. Still getting nerfed though. All the changes that we've mentioned in the past are still going to happen, but they're going to bring up the range defense to 200. So you'll catch freezes. You'll block crossbow hits some more. Yep, there's the bulwark right there.
Yeah, the range defense is huge. You basically, like, the difference, I think it has 142 range defense now, so you're basically adding an extra rune play body's worth of range defense, if I'm not mistaken. So with full Justice Shard, I'm pretty sure you're going to have over 500 range defense.
Oh, true. I forgot about. Yeah, that's nutty. Where would this, besides, like, let's ignore the wilderness. This is the clearly like trying to tweak this to make it relevant in the wilderness. Is there any purpose in PVM?
Honestly, like, a lot of people might try this for the Inferno. I guess if they're going for like Justice Shard capes, maybe you could just like throw on a bulwark and run south. But other than that,
it's good at. I know Raichu uses his bulwark when he does 1-to-1 Kriara with his twisted bow, so it's going to be good there.
Oh yeah,
interesting. Running past the trolls when you go into God Wars, they throw rocks at you.
Those always hit. By the way, they have 100% accuracy no matter what.
Actually.
Yeah, they're coded to hit you unless you have range prayer. It's like Calfight Queen. Calfight Queen has 100% accuracy as well.
What?
Yep. Yeah.
That's why she hits so damn hard.
God damn. Wow, we're learning stuff today. Cool. So yeah, there's the bulwark.
I'm not going to say anything. You know my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, should we all, what are your thoughts on the bulwark? No, yeah, we
know our thoughts. They don't really change. Like, this is a compensation buff for the nerfs. I know they did. This isn't me being negative. They've talked about removing it or like where it comes from and changing that up, because now that, I mean, it seems a little bit troll to be on the. It's going to be the trollest drop at the Chambers of Xeric, well, besides arcanes, but you expect to get those.
Yeah.
But as a specific unique, it's going to be the worst drop to get now. So they've been thinking about adding it somewhere else. They mentioned Wintertodd because that would be thematically. It makes sense because the Doors of Din.
That would tank the price, though. That would absolutely tank the price.
Which is why they were saying, so many people do Wintertodd, it would have to be at a wildly high drop rate.
Maybe they could just make it like a solo-only drop from Wintertodd. Like, you have to be in an instance where you are the only person in the... But that's impossible to code because anybody can enter right at the last second and, like, help you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of bosses they could add it to that would thematically make sense besides that. Is there any other, like, underground bosses?
Sarachnis?
Yeah, they could add it to Sarachnis.
It's in Zaya.
Yeah, they could add it to Sarachnis. That'd be kind of cool. Sarachnis is already, like, not the best. It's decent content, but...
The issue is Sarachnis is farmed a lot by people going for elite clues, so I like getting the like, lore-wise, the Din's Bulwark fits coming into the Chambers of Xeric, because originally, like, I'm pretty sure the guy who invented the Bulwark, Din, went into the chambers as one of the first raiding parties or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it does make sense to be there more than the Dragon Harpoon did.
yeah, I like where it comes from. I just think the big issue that we tried to discuss like 2 weeks ago is just that the Din's Bulwark, it's like, yes, you can unequip it at any point, but it should send a signal that you're not looking to fight back, you know? That's the entire thing. And it should have defensive stats that go through the roof to kind of reinforce that. But
I think it's a great thing that you're going to be catching freezes now. No, we're getting into it, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
Green boys.
We're going to get into it.
That's what I have to say.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to go into the wilderness if you don't want to.
Okay. There's the argument. There's the strongest argument. Salad warriors unite. Anyways.
Here we go, boys. I got your back.
They're going to put it somewhere else in the game, I'm sure, at some point. Kind of like they added the spear to... They put the Dragon Harpoon on the new drop table when it came out from Worms.
Yeah. I mean, the dragon items are so easy to move around because, like, there's, like, no rhyme or rhythm where dragon items come from.
Yeah.
For the longest time, you had to go to, like, Xanaris to buy a DDS?
Well, they just
or DD,
add
sorry,
Dins
just
to, like,
Dragon Dagger?
Hydra's drop table. I don't know.
That could work.
I think that would be fine. Not that Hydra needs a buff, but it would still be worth. It's always going to be worth less than the leather. So if you do like it's a 1 in 5/12 from.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Bulwark is like still over 10 mil. So it's
it's never been that expensive.
Let's see. The Bulwark is currently going for 4 mil.
It's been about that price for quite a while, actually. So I think if you put it on Hydra at 1 in 5/12, I don't think it would drop that much.
Well, anyways, I know that when they were talking about Theater of Blood years back, they gave the example where the Bulwark was going to be like part of bringing it in. There's going to be a room where somebody had to pick up a key, and then everyone else would have to protect that person because everything would be focusing the person with the key.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you know, they'll pitch these ideas. They sound awesome, and then they come out with Theater of Blood. It's still great, but you're like, why? I'm curious why that didn't work out. They brought out this idea of having armor that would be as good as Barrows unless you're in the raid, and in which case it would be best in slot or give you like a damage bonus to Theater of Blood content, but then that didn't even get pulled, so I wonder what happens for that. But anyways,
yeah,
it's other content for another day. They also mentioned that they don't plan to buff the crystal armor or the crystal bow just yet. Maybe, but not right now. They're confirming that the Dragon Warhammer is going to be also in line with the other Warhammers, requiring strength and not attack. Yada, yada, yada. Dragon Spear's attack rate is increasing, just like the other spears. All that sort of fun stuff. So, besides the Bulwark, it looks like the changes aren't crazy big enough to like rehash a whole discussion on whether or not it's relevant. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
No, not really. I think most of our points remain relevant, and my thoughts haven't really changed.
Yeah, so we'll have to look forward to when this... I'm more excited for these rebalances to be put in the game. One, people will finally stop complaining about it, stop talking about it, which is also, I guess it's not... If people feel as strongly, then you should keep talking about it. Then do you have your own little protest on Reddit or Fallout or wherever you want to do it? I don't know. But I am excited for the combat diaries, and I know those are going to come after.
I can't wait for those. I hope they're as good as I think they're going to be. Yeah, you're right though. The sooner the update comes, the better, because we need to just move on. Because they're people
will be able to realize how bad the blowpipe really is, unless they'll use it and they're like, okay, you know what?
It's not even going to be that much different. It's just going to be slightly slower overall, and not best in slot at specific places. Like you won't be able to use it at Vorkath anymore.
Fair enough. So yeah, it does. Oh well. We'll have a better idea once these changes actually go in place. But yeah, there's the dev blogs there, and you know, like I mentioned with the live streams, they've been very focused on answering questions about the rebalance. So again, even in the live streams, we're not getting a whole lot of information of like what's coming up down the road. But apparently, by the end of the month, we're going to get a update on the clan chat rework. That's been something I've been looking forward to. A lot of people are looking forward to that as well, mainly because once that's been changed, I think Group Iron Man can be more of a... They'll have an actual plan of when they can bring that out. They have to wait for the clan chat rework to happen first. So yeah, there's the dev blogs. But last week we were talking about how, well, me and Heartless, we tried to talk about the whole new investors coming into play with Jagex. Personally, when it comes to like investment stuff, I have no idea how that stuff works. Even this whole Wall Street thing going on there, the amount of times someone's been like, okay, well, pick, there's a group of apes and they all have a banana. And I'm like, if I hear this analogy one more time, the snake comes in. I'm like, you're making it more confusing. I don't understand. But magpies.
Yes.
Can you give us some the inside scoop, or maybe the outside scoop, the RuneScape scoop of
Yeah. I can give the rough scoop on not necessarily the acquisition, but just the lawsuit that Jagex has instigated, or Jagex has been the target of now.
So when you say that, are you saying Jagex is getting sued, or
yes, Jagex is getting sued by the company that was quote unquote supposed to buy it. So Jagex was bought recently by a new American company, and almost immediately after that, a lawsuit was filed by a company called Pluto Sama, which I think does some other kind of game. I'll have to look into it, but I know it's like a gaming company. I went and looked at the actual lawsuit in my limited understanding of things, but it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of shady stuff that went on with Jagex's old owners. I should clarify all this by saying these are just the allegations that have been provided. So this is like one side story of the events. Chances are Jagex is probably they're going to file like an answer at some point and probably try to dismiss the case. But as it stands, Pluto Sama is arguing. They're saying that basically what happened was they bought Jagex when it was first put on auction, and they were just ghosted 24/7 by Shanghai Fukong, who were the old owners of Jagex. And they're basically saying that they won Jagex at like the bidding price for an auction that they put Jagex for. And basically they won at the default price. The company that was responsible for Jagex failed to transfer the interest or whatever, which means they didn't actually like hand them the keys to the company. And then they just started ghosting Pluto Sama. And then apparently some more crazy stuff happens. The former chairman of the parent company that owns Jagex was sentenced to death recently for taking like $200 million in bribes.
Jesus, sentenced to death. That's some Game of Thrones shit.
So there's like a bunch of shady stuff, and they're saying that the Jagex sale was part of his shady business transactions. And so they're filing a lawsuit for racketeering under like what's called the RICO Act in America, which is kind of weird. I would guess that Jagex is going to try and like say that the court doesn't have jurisdiction because it's like Pluto Sama is an American company. They're suing Jagex, which is technically still like a Chinese British company. So they might say like we have no business being sued in America. But no, it's pretty cool. I'm like trying to keep track of things right now. They're just waiting on the answer. So we'll see how Jagex responds. But as of now, if like Pluto's arguments hold up, they actually might be able to stop the sale that just happened of Jagex and be able to buy Jagex themselves.
So another American company owns Jagex. So there's two American companies fighting over it now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe so. So there's the Carlyle Group, which bought it. It's like, I guess, like an investment company, which probably a bad idea, probably bad news for us, because who knows how they're going to change OSRS. They might add microtransactions, hopefully not. But it's interesting. I was reading through the entire like complaint that was filed, and they called Jagex like a one-of-a-kind company, super unique or whatever, because it's not just a gaming company, which I was like, okay, I guess. As of now, there's like not much substance except for like what Pluto Sama is saying happened. We'll see if that holds up. And as of now, I don't think Carlyle Group is the official owner of Jagex. Plutos wants to stop them from buying the company, period.
Interesting. Now, could it be something where is Jagex able to go like bankrupt to the point where they need to like close down everything? Like, is that possible? Or because there's investors in place, are they going to get hit first?
It's definitely going to be the investors. Jagex is like held in its own company by Fukong called like SHNT. So it's got like a safety net if Shanghai Fukong ever goes down, which I doubt they will, they're just trying to sell that safety net with Jagex, like bundle it up and sell it to another company. But Jagex, I think, is self-sustaining enough to where it's not going to be a major issue, where it's going to be like, okay, we're going to close down all the offices. Who knows? Maybe we wake up tomorrow, it's going to be a Monday morning, and Jagex closes it down forever. You never know. But probably not. I don't see that happening.
We wake up and there's one world we're all trying to play in.
Yeah.
And then you go on the live stream and they're all like, listen, we had to sell our office chairs and our computers. We're all working off our phones right now. And you're just like, uh-oh.
We all just migrate to private servers.
Yeah. Moparscape. Oh my God.
Moparscape.
Great times.
CJscape.
You guys played that? CJscape. What's that?
That's just the name I will always give the private server that I logged into once as a kid. And the only thing I remember is I logged into Lumbridge and the first thing I saw was CJ from San Andreas.
Oh my God. It's so funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, Moparscape was awesome. It was you go to moparscape.com, it would look like RuneScape, but then you went onto the Moparscape / something, and there'd be a list of private servers that were made by like 12-year-olds. So you'd go on and they would sucked, but they were cool because you're like, I can be max account. Sick.
Yeah.
Fun times. So anyways, that's some crazy investor drama. I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand any of that sort of stuff. Like, again, back to this whole. This is all happening same time as like the whole Wall Street bets subreddit did all that. You know, it's been in the news all over the place with GameStop. And as I'm like trying to look into it, like, oh, what's shorting? What's this? It's just, when you get to that level of like business talk, it's like if you're not in that world, you're like, why does this even exist in the first place? Like, what is going on? This, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully nothing happens to OSRS. And I mean, that's the positive side with RuneScape 3. Positive for us. They're the ones that get hit first with the promotions and all that stuff. And it's
yeah, they're the meat
sucks
shield
for them. Yeah, they are the meat shield. It's you don't want to take them for granted. All right, but that's the news this week. You know what? It took us a bit, but we're finally caught up, and we're not having to blast through like 18 different dev blogs every episode.
Yeah, we're plowing through these.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel good to not do like. I know the people love them, but the 3-hour episodes are grueling.
Oh yeah.
Thankfully for Christmas, we weren't working, so we got to grind them out.
Because normally, like a 3-hour episode takes about 8 hours to record and then 60 hours to edit.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding, but it's still pretty substantial.
Yeah, 3 hours. That's the highlights of the actual conversation. Oh, if only. But with that being said, let's move on to our favorite segment. We're going to talk about our Patreon and all of our fun Patreon supporters. Not all. Well, they all get bundled up together, and then we reference one of them. Every episode of this podcast is brought to you by our glorious Patreon supporters. You can go to patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. We can pledge every month. If there's ever bonus content, there'll be early access on there first, with a big emphasis on if or when, I should say. It's not really. It's random. It's random to say the least. But our supporter of the week is Mon Player. You help keep the lights on here at the Wilderness Podcast headquarters. So we appreciate that greatly. So Mon Player, thank you so much for being our supporter of the week. So now with that being said, let's move on to how you can hang out with us in game. Our clan chat is WildCC. You can always send us an email at thewilderness.podcast@gmail.com. And we have a Discord server. Probably the easiest way to do that. Actually, the easiest way to do that is to go into the description of this episode, click the Discord link.
You finally put it in?
I've been doing it for a little bit now.
Yep.
No more awkward Twitter.
Yeah. So, but maybe you love Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
so you can go at the Wilderness RS and click the link there as well. It is there. I guess we've had 2 sessions so far. A couple of us in the Discord started playing some Dungeons and Dragons online, and it's been a blast. Would love to bring more of that to the Discord. I've always talked, if you've listened through all the episodes, I probably mentioned it a few times, but I've always wanted to do a Dungeons and Dragons session campaign, but set in the RuneScape world.
Yes,
And
I would be so down for that.
that would be great. It's a big job though, which is why I mentioned it probably like 100 episodes ago. And when I mentioned it, I was like, yeah. And then I went to go figure out how to do all the stuff that's required to prep that. And I was like, wow, this is a lot to do. It's not even just a lot to do. It's also like very complicated, and it kind of fell on the back burner. But now that we've had a few sessions just as a small little group, but I would love to definitely do that at some point. I got sucked into the D&D world, which always happens when I start dabbling with it. I start like purchasing all the books that like they have like the player's handbook and all that stuff. But
they are expensive as well.
Yeah, they can be like, some of them are like up to $50. It's funny. I went to a Comic-Con convention in my city, and when I met somebody there who they created like assets for Dungeons and Dragons. They created the rules for like airships. If you ever play Final Fantasy, airships are a big thing in all those games. Well, most of them at least. And they're not actually created. So the people who created D&D, it's a company called the Wizards of the Coast. I don't think they actually have any rules or airships in D&D itself. But it's not. There's nothing stopping someone like you or I and going and creating these rules for airships so that it makes sense and it's not like crazy overpowered. So I met this guy who did that, and he ended up sending me all these PDFs of these airships that he's done. There's like 4 books worth, but he can't. He says they're not actually books; they're just PDFs because printing them off into books it's expensive and it's complicated, and you run into like licensing issues. I don't know, all that mumbo jumbo. So he sent me the PDFs, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go and buy really nice paper. I'm going to buy like plastic sleeves to put the paper in. I'm going to create my own book.
Yeah.
I've gotten through 1.5 books out of 4, and I've had to spend like $70 on ink so far. I did not realize how expensive ink is and how much ink is required to print off. I mean, these pages are beautiful though. They're like so colorful.
Color ink, yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, it's especially when you have like, I'm looking at it now. I got like pictures that are just like artwork and art concepts, and I'm like, yeah, these are sweet. Probably cost me $5 for that page right there. Why did I bring that up? Because if we do start playing D&D, doing it in a RuneScape world, it'll be. I have no idea how that's gonna work. I've thought about it. It'd be cool to start doing like another side podcast going through. I don't even know. I sometimes bite off more than I can chew with these little projects, and I go like, this would be cool. And I start like talking about it on the podcast, and then when I start to go do it, I realize it's really hard and I don't have that much time. But it's just an idea I've had. Alrighty. What's our song of the week gonna be?
Some DJ Heartless.
Yeah, you got something? You got something to spin on the?
Yeah, I've got one.
Spin on the.
Actually, a great tune as well. So one that maybe many people have not unlocked yet, and it's the last on most people's list before they get the quest cape. It's actually the song that you unlock when you sacrifice your fire cape and jump into the Inferno.
Oh, no.
And it's just called Inferno, and it's actually a great tune. So
I don't have this tune. Do you guys have your music cape?
I don't. The only thing that I don't have is what I'm drawing on, and every week I go and kill goblins. I don't have a champions scroll to unlock all the champions scroll, like a champions guild, champions challenge music, whatever. So I am still drawing that. That's the only thing stopping me from my cape, and it's really annoying and it sucks, but it is what it is.
You should just take a cannon to the zombies underneath the wizards.
I've done that. I've cannoned goblins a bunch. Nonstop. I think I'm at like 8k goblin kills in total. I killed like 3,000 of them for bingo, trying to get the champion scroll.
Imagine you had to get a dragon warhammer.
Well, you chose to play that way.
Drop right. I know it does suck when you go dry. That's that one. I think mimic. Some people go quite dry getting a mimic as well, but Inferno is definitely usually on the last on people's list. It's one of the last ones, and the song is really really good.
That's the Inferno.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool.
It's called Inferno.
Inferno. So unlocking this music track requires a player to sacrifice a fire cape to Dazar Ket Ke, guarding the entrance to the Inferno. We got a song analysis. I love when somebody takes the time to to do this. So it says the song is in the key of G minor using the Dorian scale with a constant tempo of 96. Don't know what any of that means, but it makes use of brass instruments such as the French horn, GM Instrument 60, and brass ensemble, GM Instrument 61, performing a heavy-sounding crescendo at various times. Adam Bond typically utilizes brassy crescendos in his battle-like composition, including reworks, mostly in the main RuneScape game, hence why finding this in old-school RuneScape is a rare occurrence. Wow, what?
Wow, some great info right there.
Yeah, we're not done. But I wish I understand that sentence to understand what they mean by this is a rare occurrence.
It is unlike many of the songs. Many of the songs in RuneScape are quite chill. This one is, well, you'll listen and you figure it out
It'll
for
give
yourself.
you the Jad hands.
Yep. The triple Jad hands.
So it
Grow an extra hand.
continues saying one of the earliest examples referencing the previous paragraph, one of the earliest examples of this would be in the track Fee Fi Fo Fum, a song from the 4th of June in 2007. Besides the brass in this composition, it also consists of strings, GM Instrument 48, accompanied by an acoustic grand piano, GM Instrument 0, which can be heard slightly in the background. The song also makes the use of a square wave, GM Instrument 80, which is rarely used in old school RuneScape. The square wave instrument is most likely an imitation of the effect used in Bond's previous Lava Falls composition.
Wow.
Square wave. Square wave instrument. Oh, this is going into like audio waves, I guess. Here's some fun trivia. This track bears resemblance to the song At Doom's Gate from the video game Doom. Whoa. It also has very similar, where did he say that? Yeah. That's some crazy stuff. That sounds exciting to listen to. I've never actually heard the song, so it'll be fun to play it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me on this episode, and thanks for everyone for listening.
Thanks for having us.
We'll do it again next week, and the week after that, and the week after that for the rest of our lives. We're committed now.
For the rest of our lives, Jesus.